Okay, so for the second part here, we're going to be going into the data editor to make the towers, the buttons, the builders, the mobs, and the selling and stuff like that. So from your terrain editor here, you can click on this little marine and it opens up the data editor. And basically you can see all the different types here that you can go through, or you can see them as the tabs here, but if they're not in the tabs, they will be in this drop down. And all data, you could set it to whatever's in your map, just being custom. Right now we have nothing. Everything's part of Blizzard data right now. And I have the Explorer on so we can see hierarchies, like a unit has a weapon, has a model, etc., etc. And I have all these checked here because it's a good way to see the fields. So we're going to start by making the towers. And there's going to be a lot of little complexities here because a straight duplication does not cover everything. When you do duplicate, there are things that become that get missed, I guess, at this point in the editor. So in the unit drop down here, we're under all data source, and we're going to search for photon cannon. This is usually the best base to go with when making a tower. And right-click any of one of them, and right-click it, and then hit duplicate unit. And now we are presented with this view, and basically anything that we don't check will link our unit to the original ability here, original actor, etc., or anything that we do check will duplicate that along with our unit. So the way the editor works is we have a hierarchy of things, like a unit has an actor, and then that actor has a model, and it's kind of like a chain. And for instance, the unit also has a weapon, and that weapon has an effect which launches the missile. And that launch missile uses a unit missile while it's flying. And then when that unit missile impacts, it does this damage. And that's the kind of chain. So we don't need to duplicate the attack ability. We want to use the default one, so we don't check it. By not checking, we're not actually removing anything. You'll have to remove it later. So we want the default attack, we want the default that. But we want our own custom actor so that we can control scale, we can control icon and sounds. And every unit has to have its own actor, so it's just a rule. So we want that. We want the attack actor because we're going to have our own custom weapon that needs an attack actor. And you'll just learn this as you go more. It's pretty confusing when you start, though, but that's the complexity of the game now. So we want the splat too. It's the shadow underneath, and probably Protoss building birth small, but this we'll use for all of our towers for the sun team. So we're making two teams, as you saw in my demo, the sun and the shadow team. And behaviors, we don't need to duplicate any of these because we don't actually want to make a custom version of any of those. We do want to have duplicates of these two effects though, because they are things we want to modify. We want to change for our weapon. We don't need to change the footprint, that's for collision. We do want to duplicate the photon cannon model though, because that's the lowest level of the model, and it's best to change scale through there and not through the actor. You could do it though. And then the last thing we want is the turret. That's what controls the turning of the little head on the photon cannon. And the unit here, we want to check off the unit for the weapon, which is the missile, and then the weapon itself. And then we're going to hit OK. And once it's done here, you should see in your Object Explorer here the hierarchy, and you can see all the copies that we've made, and it's still linked to some of the original things versus the copy. So it's good to start renaming from the bottom up, because if I rename Photon Cannon to Sun Shooter or whatever, sometimes it'll auto-rename any of its children, like this thing here, and then it'll lose the reference. So I'm going to start renaming from the weapon here. I'm going to delete the editor prefix, which is just a line that only the editor can see. So it gets rid of phase cannon, and we're going to double click it and rename it to be Sun Shooter. Okay, so now the weapon's been renamed, and then let's see the unit for the weapon. This is the missile unit, because the reason they made units for the missiles is in case some spells can like destroy missiles in the air, like defense spells or something. So it's an added technicality. But so let's double click this and change this to be Sun Shooter Weapon and hit suggest. And suggest will make its internal ID for the game. If you press Control D, you can see the internal ID for all of the data stuff. So, but now if we go to click on this this weapon unit thing, and scroll down, there's an important field which got automatically changed because we renamed it. And this is the movement mover field. And this is what controls its speed, its direction. It's like zigzagging in the air. And it used to be set to, if you double click it, to photon cannon weapon. So we want to set it back to that if you double click it and change it, because if what it was set to was a blank thing which doesn't exist, and your thing would not shoot. So make sure you do that. Now the turret, we can rename this to Sun Shooter. Okay, the turret's just a technical thing you just need to make it to make your turret turn while it shoots. Not all buildings can turn and shoot. Some only like certain towers can, that Blizzard made, built into the model. Now the model here, let's rename this to Sun Shooter. And yes, this is probably the most boring part of the tutorial, but this is also the most complex and even the least understood in the community. So if you can get this down, you'll be in a pretty powerful position. And we want to leave all this, but you'll see it automatically renamed the actual model file that it's referring to for this model. And this doesn't exist, as you'll see this little error cube circle here. So we're going to double click that model field and browse, and we're going to change this to be, let's see, if you bring it up and search here for photon, and buildings, Protoss, photon cannon, there, and let's pick the actual one out. So it's kind of a bad thing, but it tends to rename certain fields when you rename the actual data object, like this model. So you just got to keep on that, and if you find errors, it's probably why. Okay, so now the effects, these are related to the weapon. So our unit here, our tower, will use this weapon with this attack speed to do a launch missile effect, and this launch missile effect will use our missile unit, and then it'll impact and deal this 20 damage, and that's the basic hierarchy. So we're going to remove the editor prefix because this is not a phase cannon anymore. I don't know why they left that in front of it. It's not even a phase cannon in Protoss. It's a photon cannon. And let's double click the photon cannon launch missile effect, and let's just call this, this is not going to be seen anywhere in game by the user, so let's just call this Sun Shooter LM for launch missile. And then we got to scroll all the way back down annoyingly. And let's rename this, and let's double click the damage effect here and rename this Sun Shooter damage, and hit suggest, and then hit OK. And let's keep going up. Okay, the next thing is Protoss building birth small. Let's double click this and let's call this Sun Team building birth, and then hit suggest and hit OK. So we're not going to need to duplicate. Once you, in this tutorial, I'm only going to make one tower for the Sun Team and one tower for the Shadow Team, but it's very easy to just keep making more towers. I don't want to waste time repeating myself. So if you do make more towers, you don't have to duplicate this actor the next time. Next time when I duplicate my Sun Shooter, I don't need to check this off because we've made one for our Sun Team. And the way this actor will work is I'll set it up right now, is you can see here under its actor events, which is pretty much the only important field in here other than model, which is already fine. You can see when the unit construction of an obelisk starts, it creates this model, which is Protoss building birth small, and all these, and then you can see right in here is our photon cannon that we made. So when you would add a new tower, all you would have to do is go into this actor event here, copy paste a line, change it to your whatever unit you had, set it to start, and then done, and you hit OK. And your tower would be added, this model would be made when your tower's construction started. And next is photon cannon splat. Let's call this Sun Shooter splat. Okay. I don't think we have to change much here. Unit name. Let's change this to, oh, actually that might be correct once we rename our actual unit, so I'll leave that for now. And now the actual actor for the unit itself, let's just call it Sun Shooter. Okay. And then the attack actor, Sun Shooter attack. Okay, and then let's rename the actual unit itself. So the top hierarchy here, let's rename photon cannon to Sun Shooter. So now everything's been nicely renamed. And you can see it's kind of disappeared, so we have to change our search and units here to be Sun Shooter. Or you could just switch it to be our maps data and get rid of the search. And it'll be pretty much the same thing right now. Okay, so we've done the model, the weapon. I made this team shoot really fast, so I'm going to change the period down to 0.25. Target filters, I'm going to uncheck ally, neutral, and player so that it can only target enemies, and you could You could set other stuff here if you wanted it to only require light enemies that it can attack, etc. Hit OK. And the icon you can change. I'm not going to change it. The range is good. And where is the launch missile effect? Where is it? Am I blind here? Oh, here it is. Oh yeah, I renamed it. I forgot. So it's going to do our launch missile effect. So let's go find that. Here it is, and our launch missile effect is set there. That's fine. We don't really have to change anything in here, but we can see that it will do sun shooter damage on its impact. And then our sun shooter damage will do, let's say, that was a bit high, maybe 3 damage. So it's going to do 3 damage every 0.25 seconds. And you can change the damage type and etc. here. There's not much else you'd really change. Okay, and then now let's go to the splat. And yeah, you can see the unit token field here, whatever, has changed to sun shooter, which is good, which will change the events automatically. Building birth has it. Attack. So the thing about attack is that it's pretty much set up. Since we're doing a straight duplication of a photon cannon, it's not going to have much different about it. We don't need to change the sounds. We don't need to change the impact visuals or anything. But right now it doesn't have, if you see art missile here, it doesn't have an art missile actor. It's reads nothing. So what we need to actually do is go into the actors tab here. And unfortunately duplicate didn't do this for us, and search for photon cannon. And switch the data back to all data. And you'll see there's 2 actors here that didn't get duplicated for us. We had a turret, but we didn't have a turret actor. And we had an attack actor, but we didn't have a missile actor. So we need to duplicate both of these, or copy paste them is all we need to do really. And rename this one to sun shooter turret. Hit suggest. And then copy paste photon cannon attack missile. And rename this to sun shooter attack missile. So this is just a minor little glitch we have to take care of that the duplication didn't. And close the search, switch back the data source to our map. And you'll see that the attack now, if I go in here and I double click on the art missile, it's not set to custom anymore. It's actually linking to our actual actor we just made. So it automatically updated to it. And this attack missile, we need to just change the unit name in here, the top token field here, to be weapon sun shooter weapon. And then you can see the art model here. Now it got automatically changed, which is wrong. We need to change this to be photon cannon weapon. So you've got to take care of that and clean it up, and the rest should be all right. And now the turret. The turret we need to check. We don't need to do much here. We just need to go into the events field here and turret enable and change this to be sun shooter. So this is referencing the turret we made earlier that we duplicated. So when this is the event, when this turret is enabled for the sun shooter, when a turret is enabled for the sun shooter, I mean, it will create this turret actor, which controls the movement of the actual sun shooter's, the photon cannon's little eyeball thing that sits on it. And as you can see in here, everything looks pretty good. The art model build we could change, but we don't need to. Placement, sounds, icons we don't really need to change, which is all good. So now we can go back to the units tab here. Click on our top level unit, and let's go look at the abilities. Let's start from the top here. So we want all of these pretty much. That's good. Now let's go to the command card. Okay, we don't want this. We don't want detector anymore. So let's X that out, and that's good there, I think. Behaviors, okay, these are just permanent buffs on our guy. We don't want him to detect, we don't want him to be a power user, which means that he requires, or this tower requires, to be on the Protoss grid. And we do want under construction though, because we're going to have a little construction time. Let's see, combat weapons is fine. You can see the turret is specified in here. Cost, let's make this maybe 7. Minerals, and we can get rid of the editor description. Hit OK. And now the pathing footprint. So we want to actually change this. Instead of footprint 2x2 contour, we want to change this to be footprint 2x2 doodad, and change that for both placement and the regular thing. The difference being that if you follow me into the terrain editor here, or just watch me for now, in a tower defense, it's very important to have anti-block, and the default footprint, which is for collision of towers, is not actually square. So if I go to structure here, switch to Protoss, and I drop a photon cannon, and I turn pathing on, which I just pressed a hotkey, but it's view, show pathing, show mesh, and then you make sure these two are checked. You can see it's actually a round thing, which is not good when you have two towers beside each other, or two towers like this. Look, they can run through. That's not good for anybody. So if I switch to Sun Shooter here, you can see that the new thing is a perfect 2x2 square, so the units can't get through that corner, which is essential for anti-block. So by using the 2x2 doodad, we get that much nicer blockage there. And now back in the data editor here, we can keep going down here. Facing is fine, life arm is fine, life is fine. Let's see what else we want to do here. Let's get rid of shields. We don't really want that. This isn't a Protoss game, so Protoss map, I mean. Rest is fine here, flags are fine, and that's pretty much good. Now we can go and let me just place it and just make sure that it's okay here. It spawned okay. So that's a good thing to do, is just check that the model's working. We'll check it later though, whether it actually works. As usual, I usually forget something, and something will be missing, some little link I forgot to do. And let me just save here. And so now you can think, well, I want to make more towers now. What's the best way to do that? Well, the best way is to take the tower you just made, assuming the new one's going to be relatively similar. Well, either way, it's a good thing to do. And just right-click your tower you just made, and let's duplicate it again. And this time we want this, we want this, we want this, we want those three actors, and we don't want this anymore. We're going to be making a tower for the Shadow team now, which was the Dark Templar. I think I used in my demo. If I did that, I forget. And we'll have these two effects as we did before. We'll have the model as we did. We'll have the turret, which won't really matter, but just for bookkeeping, we'll include it. It won't matter for a Dark Templar model. It won't actually turn because it doesn't have a turret built into the model. And then we're going to have the weapon unit for the missile and the weapon itself. And yes, it's a technicality that my tower is going to be a Dark Templar shooting ranged, but Warcraft 3 had plenty of creative towers like that, so I don't see too big of an issue with that. And let's start renaming from the bottom again. So I'm gonna kind of speed this section up, and you can just do it on your own too. It's just rename everything, or just watch and follow along. Okay, so everything's been renamed relative to Shadowblade now, which is what I called the new tower. And now we're actually going to start changing some values. So let's start on the model itself. First thing we want to do is change the model field here. Let's hit browse once we double clicked. And then we're going to change it to be Dark Templar. So search for Dark, oops, I got to click on the search box here, Dark Templar, one word. And it should be under units, Protoss, Dark Templar, and I'm going to pick the one that's not a specific variation. And then hit OK. Scale is fine. Texture declarations, I'm going to X all these out because it doesn't really apply to this model. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, we want to get rid of this because it causes an error. And then we'll hit OK. So this model is done now. And then if we go up to the actor, we can see it's still a photon cannon icon, which is completely wrong. So starting from the art model here is set to our model, which is good, which we just changed. Art model build, we're going to leave it as the birth thing, but photon cannon placement, we don't want that. Let's change this to Shadowblade as well. And by the way, if you're in these drop downs and you don't want to scroll through everything, if you actually start typing the full word of what you want, it'll auto go to it. So if I type PHOTON, it goes automatically to photon cannon. So you can actually type multiple letters to go to what you want. So I'm going to type SHADO, and I got to Shadowblade right away. So you can press more than just the first letter. And art models for the portrait is fine for me. Custom depth, we might have to clean this up a bit. Got to go through all the green fields here. Yeah, so there's a photon thing here that we want to X out. Otherwise it'll display a little photon cannon model when the tower dies, which is when you sell it or something. Death effects, let's check in here. This is, I think, where the actual death model is shown. So on the top field here is all we have to change. For the model, let's change this to Dark Templar Death. For the sound, let's change it to Dark Templar Death. And then keep going down, you'll see, okay, sounds. What do we got to change in here? Protoss construction is fine. Anything that says unknown you can ignore, because those fields won't do anything if they're set like that. Okay, ready, we want to change that to be Dark Templar Ready. And photon cannon what? We want to be Dark Templar what? And then, okay, hero icon, let's change that. It doesn't matter in this case, but it's just bookkeeping. Blizzard did it, so we'll do it. And let's change it to be Dark Temp. It should pop up now once you search for Dark Templar. BTN unit Protoss Dark Templar. Okay, okay. And we'll copy the hero icon to the unit and paste it on the unit icon, just like that. Now, down here we have the wireframe, which is what appears on the bottom when you have it selected. So you can see that thing. So we need to change that as well. We'll browse and we'll change this to be the wireframe for the Dark Templar. And luckily all Blizzard models have the wireframe. Well, most of them have the wireframe in the icon, so not a big deal. Just a little bit of grunt work here that we've got to do. Wireframe Protoss. Depends which one you want to pick. I'm just going to pick this one. Dark Templars actually have two models, if you didn't know that. It's kind of annoying, but not a big deal. And actually we'll copy this wireframe and paste it on group icon, because they use the same icon for that, the wireframe icon. And that's all we need to do here. That's all set up, but our attack is a little bit messed up because, well, first we should go to actors here and duplicate the attack missile. And yes, our Dark Templar will be shooting a ranged fireball or something like that, just because it's cool. So first let's duplicate the sun, or let's copy paste the sun shooter attack missile. And the reason I'm not duplicating is because I don't need anything else in here, so a copy paste is just good enough. Shadow Blade attack missile. Suggest, hit OK. And then we'll copy paste the turret as well. Shadow Blade turret. Turret actor, I should say. So we'll start in the attack here. The attack controls the sounds and the launch missile, so you can see it should be set to our actual attack missile now, which is good. We can leave all these, don't mess with these, they're usually, this is where it launches out of your center and where the missile comes out of, etc. Launch assets is important. There's no art specified, which is fine, but there's actually a sound specified. And we want to change this to be like Dark Templar attack launch. And the vents are fine, and impact map. So you can see that the impact map is what happens when it impacts the missile, when the missile impacts. And it does have a model, but I think I'm going to leave that. That's the little blue explosion when it hits. And then the sound, we're going to make it to be Dark Templar attack impact. So the visuals will be a bit off with the audio, but use your imagination on this one. And now the attack missile here, we need to set this to the right weapon, the weapon unit I mean. So we need to find weapon, Shadow Blade weapon, okay. The art model, let's change this to be something cool. Let's go for fire medium. So it's going to be a little fire that shoots across. And what else do we want here? That's all we want to do here. And let's see. Let's go back to the unit here and back in Shadow Blade. And you can see his icons changed and everything. It's nice and cool. Let's find the unit for the weapon. And you might see that it might have got renamed. No, it didn't. Good. So the mover in this case did not get renamed, because it was different than the actual name of the unit weapon. The weapon here, though, is incorrect. The actual weapon, that the data type of weapon, we need to change the icon, so I'm double-clicking here, and we're going to change it to be, let's just search for Protoss, and I think we can use like the Protoss upgrade. Let's see, upgrade Protoss, ground weapons level 0. Why don't we just use these? This, I mean, as the icon. Most of this is still good. Let's say this guy's going to have only 5 range, and he's going to be a lot slower, 0.9. But we're going to give him more damage in turn. So let's go find the Launch missile, no, that's fine. The damage effect here, and let's make this 12 damage. Actually, let's make it like 14 because he's got less range too. So that's all good. And back in the actors, I did forget one thing, which is the turret here. We do need to change this field in the events here to be turret enable shadow blade, so that it'll correspond to the right unit. Splat, that should be okay. Should be okay. Okay, so now back in our tower here, let's go through all the fields. So do we have anything here? Oh, this. So if you actually clicked here where the detector button was before, it says unknown, so it copies it weirdly through for some reason when you duplicate. So just remove this blank unknown thing. And let's scroll down. The weapon and turret is okay. The cost, this guy's going to cost 6 because he's got less range and slower attack speed. His race is a little bit more focused on that. Footprint's still okay. Life is still okay. No shields, etc. That's all good. And okay, so now we pretty much have both towers ready to go. What we're going to do just quickly after that is set up the buttons to build them, and then we're going to switch on to the builders themselves. So if you switch to the data type of buttons here, and by the way, you should watch the tutorials all the way through because there's a chance that I mess something up on those towers. So if you watch it all the way through, I'll catch my own bugs and then clean them up. So, or you can read the text version and I'll have that one to be flawless. So, but unfortunately, when you're video recording, mistakes happen. So let's switch the data source for buttons and just find a random one. Let's find, I'm going to use Barrage and copy paste this. And because buttons, we can just copy paste. They don't have any children or any hierarchy. And let's call this build sun shooter. Hit suggest. Okay, and now we can switch the data back to ours because we only need to see ours. Starting here, ignore the first 3 fields; those get automatically changed. Starting at hotkey, I'm going to make it S. Hotkey alias changes to build sun shooter. Icon, browse, and then you can find the photon cannon one because that best represents what our sun shooter is. I was lazy and the sun shooter is just a photon cannon. Try not to be that lazy on your map. This is just a tutorial. Now in the tooltip, let's say, let's delete this first part here and say a basic fast shooting tower for the sun team. And then down here in between the color, we could put something like deals, I don't even remember what I said. Was it like 3 damage every 0.25 seconds? And you could put the DPS in brackets or something. And that's pretty much that. That looks good to me. And let's copy paste this, and let's call this build shadow blade. Hit suggest. And hotkey's going to be the same. Hotkey alias, let's change that to build shadow blade. Change the icon to be the Dark Templar, its icon. It does take a while to load every time you bring up all these images here. There's quite a lot of them. Okay, there we go. And build shadow blade, and tooltip is going to be, let's delete the first part, a basic tower for the shadow team. Not the best description. Come up with something better, please. What did I say? 13 damage every 0.9 seconds. I don't remember if that's right, but not a big deal for the portion of this tutorial. And let's copy paste again, and let's call this build sun towers. And now this one, so when you click build sun towers, it'll bring you to the actual towers that you can build, and then you'll actually see this button here, like build sun shooter. And this hotkey is going to be B, because that's the universal hotkey for build. And the icon, let's make it the warp-in structure that Protoss has by default, just so people are familiar. You don't want to go too radical on your icons here. I gotta search for BTN dash. Let's see where it's going to be in here somewhere. BTN dash command Terran build structure, Protoss build structure. There we go. Okay, and build sun towers. And then you can delete everything here and just say view the towers to build for the sun team. And then we copy paste this for the shadow team. And you can see this can get pretty hectic when you're like making 4 races and they each have 10 towers. You imagine how long that takes, right? And they all do custom things. Both of my towers that I made don't have any AoE. They don't do any damage over time. And you'd have to get familiar with all of that on top of this. So keep that in mind. And let's change this hotkey. Let's build shadow. There's that many shadow things? God. I'll keep the icon the same. And then we'll change the description to be view the towers to build for the shadow team. And we are good to go for this. And next we will be doing the builders. So let's switch to the units tab here. And now we're going to have to switch back to all data and duplicate the probe. And I usually like to use the probe because of the way he builds is a good base to duplicate. So pick any one of these and right click and duplicate. We only want to duplicate the build ability, his actual actor. We don't want any of the attack stuff because we're going to remove his weapon. Let's keep going down here. Model should be fine. And that should be fine. So let's hit OK. So not that much we're duplicating. Just we'll have to remove all the old link stuff. So let's rename his actor first in the Explorer down here. Let's call this the Sun Builder. Hit suggest, hit OK. And let's rename the actual unit to Sun Builder. Suggest and hit OK. And now we'll have to change our search, or just get rid of our search and switch back to our data. And we can see the Sun Builders here now. And let's change this build ability. Let's change the editor prefix from probe to Sun Builder space dash and then hit enter. And then build, change it to build. Actually, let's double click over here in the Explorer. Build brackets Sun Builder. Suggest. I don't know why they put it before and after, but we'll do it the Blizzard way too. And then let's go to the actor. I think the actor's okay. For the shadow builder, we'll make them really dark. Now let's go to the main unit here. And let's start at abilities. Let's just clean this out. So we don't want attack, so let's X that out. We want the build, we don't want gather, and we don't want build objective structure, and let's hit OK. Now in the command card, we can X out the gather, we can X out return cargo, and we can X out warp and advanced structure. And we can X out the attack thing. And the warp and structure, let's just click on that and then double click on the button and change that to be search for sun. And then you should see build sun towers. That's good. And the rest can stay the same. So let's hit OK, and then let's open it back up just so that it gets fully set in the editor. And then let's go to command card 2, and you'll see that all this stuff is here. So we have to X all this out, and there's no faster way I know other than clicking through each one and hitting the red X. I don't know if there's a hotkey. Let's see. Nope, there's no hotkey that I can easily find. And leave the cancel button though. And then we'll hit OK for now. We'll come back there when we have to actually add in the build tower once we finish the build ability. Behavior response, let's make it no response so he doesn't flee when attacked. Although he'll be invulnerable, just better to be safe. Now weapons, double click combat weapons and X out that one. We don't want any weapons. Cost doesn't matter. Let's delete the editor description. And I'm going pretty fast on this because data's not so fun. So collide, let's double click that and get rid of, uncheck both of these. Where is mover? Mover, let's change that to, instead of ground, to be fly. And so now he will actually be considered a flying unit. And where's speed? Let's make speed to be 3.5, so he's a little faster. Life is fine. Shields, let's get rid of shields, just so it doesn't confuse the player why their builder has shields. Sight radius is fine, we'll deal with sight later. Under unit flags here, double click that list and check off invulnerable. And that's pretty good for this builder. And the last thing is UI height. I don't know why it's under UI, because it has nothing to do with UI, it has to do with the unit itself. And this is the height off the ground, so we're going to make this 2. And now the Sun Builder is pretty much good to go, except for his buildability. So in his buildability here, everything's good except for Info Plus. So let's double click Info Plus, and this is where all the actual build stuff is set in. So yes, this little hidden field looks like it's nothing, but it's actually very important. And let's go to just number 16, the next available one. We have all this crap here because we duplicated. And you could do it from fresh buildability, but duplication tends to be faster a little bit. So I'm going to double click build 16 here. And for the button, I'm going to search for build, what was it? Build Sun Shooter. There we go. And the rest is available. So thankfully we made that button earlier, so it's all ready now. This can all stay the same. That's all good. So here you can put a cooldown. You could specify it in this number here. And info unit, we're going to choose the Sun Shooter. And the time it's going to take to build this unit is 1 second. I'm going to put no cooldown because when you're spam building this level 1 tower, this weak tower, when you're mazing, you don't want to have a cooldown. It's really annoying. So that's just a word of advice. And now we got that, so we can go back up to the Sun Builder here, double click on Ability Command Card, go to the second command card, top left corner, hit the green X and search for Build Sun. And you can see we have that button we made. Build Sun Shooter, command type ability, ability Sun Builder build, and the ability command is Build Sun Shooter. And that's the chain of commands there, and that's pretty much good. So we should be able to build that now. And now we're going to build the Shadow Builder. So, well, it's a lot of build in one sentence, but whatever. Let's duplicate now. Duplicating the Sun Builder, and let's check off that buildability. Let's check off the actor, and that's all we need. Keep it simple. Let's rename the actor to Shadow Builder. Hit suggest. Rename the unit now to Shadow Builder. Hit suggest. And then the buildability itself, we need to change the editor prefix. And editor prefixes are great when you have a lot of units and you need to kind of categorize them, but you don't want something to be seen in game. That's perfect. And let's change this to be build for. Let's change the actual name of this ability now. There we go. Hit suggest. Okay. Yeah, I'm going fast, and I am going fast in this part. So by all means, go view the text version and follow through there if that's better for you. This is just so you can actually have proof that I did something and that I didn't, fudge something in the text tutorial. Like a lot of text tutorials you go through, there's something missing or you have to ask a question, etc. So we got this now, and now let's go to Info Plus and the buildability, and let's scroll down to that number 16 we had, and let's change this to be, instead of Build Sun Shooter, it's going to be Build Shadow Blade, and then the rest is going to stay the same, except the unit is going to be now Shadow Blade. And hit OK, and hit OK. So once you start adding more towers, you make their buttons, and then you go in here and you add it to Build 17, and then you go back into the Builder, and then you go to the command card, and on the second command card you would, as you can see, a lot of random stuff got added here. It's just a bug. And you go in here and add the new thing. I don't know why that stuff happens when you duplicate. And let's add a new button on the top left of the second command card, and let's search for Shadow. And I think it's Build Shadow Blade. There we go. Ability command. Ability is going to be Shadow Builder build, and ability command. Sorry, I meant command type is ability command earlier. And the ability command itself is Build Shadow Blade. And let's hit OK. So now we should be able to build both of those towers with each race, and you could keep adding more towers and add more builders if you wanted more races. And I'm not going to do morphing upgrades between towers in this tutorial. I've done it in, I think, both my other ones, so you can check that out in those. Sorry about that, but I don't want to repeat myself too many times on too many things I'm doing. Okay, so we got all the towers and the builders done now, and I'm going to save. And we want to now make some mobs, and this is going to be relatively easy because they don't have any attacks or anything. So let's set the data back to all data under the units tab here, and let's search for Zergling. I always got to use Zerglings, as you guys know, so I got to keep in line here. I'm going to duplicate the Zergling, and let's duplicate the actor. And I don't think we need anything else. Nope. Let's hit OK. And okay, so let's rename the actor to just be, I'm going to call this the weakling. I think that's what I called it in the map, in the actual map I made. So let's call this weakling, and let's rename the unit to weakling as well. And now we got to clear our search bar as usual. Okay, and click on the actor for weakling. All this is going to stay the same, so but for the next unit we'll have to change a lot of stuff here, and I will show you how to do that, just like we did with the second tower. But back in the unit, let's go to the abilities. Let's start from the top. Let's get rid of attack, get rid of cube, burrow, and morph. So all he has is stop and move. We don't have to change anything in the button here because it's an enemy unit. It won't be player controlled, so he won't even see the command card, or you won't even see the command card. The interesting thing we want to do here is kill resource. That'll give you the +1 bounty when you kill them. So let's set that to 1 mineral. And let's go to combat weapons here and X out this one. And cost can stay the same. Description, let's just get rid of it so it doesn't appear under the unit or anything. Sometimes when you click on them you can see it. The collision is okay. Radius you could probably turn down a bit, just so you can fit through corners. Don't make it 0 though. And speed I'm going to turn down a bit because it's the first wave, so we're not going to be too hard on the player. Life will be maybe 16 on the first wave. Make sure you set that for life maximum and life starting amount, because you don't want to mess those values up. And sometimes I always forget this one. Sight radius is fine, rest is fine. Okay, and this guy is pretty much good, so we have our first mob. And then we're going to right click him and duplicate, and we're going to make the second one from him. So we kind of keep going along this path. And you'll see some weird, it links the old ones in here, just ignore that. Weakling copy is the one we want to care about in the actors here. And we're going to name this not so weakling, as I did earlier. And the actual unit we're going to rename to not so weakling. Was that a capital S I did? Or lowercase? Nice, lowercase, okay. And now let's start in the actor for this because we got to make a lot of changes in here. I'm going to use a hydralisk for this. So what do you have to do to convert a Zergling actor to a hydralisk actor? Well, this is what you got to do. First is the art model. Let's change this to a hydralisk. Copy it and paste it for the art model build, art model placement, and then for art model portrait, let's do double click and search for portrait hydralisk. Custom death, double click that to check that there was any sort of Zergling death in here. Ooh, there is quite a bit, so let's just X out all the Zergling custom stuff and just leave the standard ones in there. Death effects, check in here. I guarantee you there'll be a Zergling thing. Yeah, there we go. So if the regular death, let's make it hydralisk death. Sound is going to be hydralisk death. Now you can see the Zergling has some other stuff here. It has a death for acid, so nicely enough the hydralisk does too. So we're going to actually include that. But if you didn't, you would just set this model to nothing because you don't want an accidental acid weapon to create the Zergling model when this dies. These custom ones override the normal one here. So there's also Zergling death eviscerate. So does hydralisk have one? Oh, I went to that one. Oh, okay, we'll just use the regular hydralisk death. And the sound, we'll just use the regular hydralisk death. And then fire, I think hydralisk did actually have one. Yeah, he did. Hydralisk death. Oh, I guess he doesn't have a fire death sound, but whatever. Well, I guess it'll be under universal death fire. That's a bit better. And that's it. So let's hit OK. Event footprint fine, events fine. Group sounds are fine. Sounds is what we have to care about now. There's a bit more in here, so we want hydralisk attack, and this is the sound it makes when you right click, when you're holding your hydralisk and you right click an enemy unit, it'll make that little gargling noise. That's what this sound is. We need hydralisk pissed for that when you click him a lot of times. Hydralisk ready when he's made. Hydralisk what is when you click them. Oh, I missed that. And then hydralisk yes is when you give them an order to move. Same thing for all units. So, and now the group icon. Let's change this to be the wireframe for the hydralisk instead of the Zergling. Let's see, hydralisk. Should be at the bottom once you search for Hydralisk. There we go. Okay, let's copy that and paste it down here. And then let's change the, oops, wrong button. Let's change the unit icon to be, let's browse and change it to be the Hydralisk one. And we're almost done here, folks, so don't get too bored yet. It's about to heat up. Let's copy the unit icon over the here icon, and that's good. So the actor is all set, so now he's set to be an actual Hydralisk. And now you can see this still looks like a Zergling, so if you click away and then click back to the unit, it actually updates that now. And you can start from the top here. Abilities can stay the same. Kill resource, still going to be 1. Maybe these guys will move a little bit faster, 2.5. And their life will be 25, so it'll be quite a bit harder. And that's all we need to do with this, so let's save. And the last thing is the cell ability, which will tie into triggers, but we'll just do the basic. The cell ability will just kill the unit itself through the data editor here, and then the actual giving back of money will be done through the trigger editor. So that's a combination there. So let's go to the abilities tab. It's an ability that we're going to be doing here. And set it to all data and search for salvage, which is a bunker ability that already exists nicely enough. And we're going to use this one here, the refund. This is the one that kills the bunker. I don't know what these ones are. These are the ones that give it like a delay or something. So let's duplicate either one of these bunker refunds, and I don't think we want the button, and I think we'll duplicate the effect, but that's it. And let's rename the effect. Let's change the editor prefix to be nothing. And let's change the effect to be cell death. Hit suggest. Players won't see that in game, so don't worry about that. Let's change they will see this though. Let's change the button to be cell tower. Hit OK, and let's change the name of the ability itself to be cell tower. Hit suggest. And let's get rid of salvage from the prefix on the ability itself. And starting in the button, let's make the hotkey Q. I don't know why I picked Q, but we'll leave the icon the same. And then let's change it to be sells this tower for 50% of its value. And the effect is fine. All it does is kill the source unit that used this ability, which will be the tower, if that makes sense. So the tower, when you click the cell button, it'll use this ability, which will do this effect, which will do kill on the source unit, which is the tower. We do have to change in here though. I think this is fine. Let me just check. Yes, that's fine. Oh, this is off screen. We have to change this. By default, it gives you 75 minerals back. So we actually want to find this field in cost here and change it to 0. So the cost of negative 75 was giving you 75 minerals when you cast this ability, or aka use the cell tower. So we want 0 because we're going to do it through triggers. And that's pretty much it for this. So now we have to go back into units here, clear the search, and view our data, and find the Shadow Blade Tower. Go to abilities, copy paste attack, and then change the ability to be cell tower refund. Hit OK, and then double click on the command card, and on this here, click on the top left, and then we'll hit the green X, and search for cell and cell tower, command type ability command, ability cell tower refund, and it's already set to the right ability command, and we'll hit OK. And now we got to go to the sun shooter and do the same thing in the abilities, copy paste attack, change it to, well, you don't have to copy paste, but it's quicker. Change it to be cell tower. Okay, and then in the command card, in the top left, add the cell ability again. Okay, there we go. Let's add this in, and we're good here. So now they can both sell, and the triggers will take care of it, the rest. And actually, we are done with the data editor, so now we will be going into the trigger editor in the next video.